virtually,
Like
because
that's
we just had
the
so.
You know, I have a friend that's got them.
Oh yeah, they're so
You
cool.
know,
Yeah,
it's just so neat.
it's so much better than when I was diagnosed.
Oh, I
So
bet.
he can't
Because I've
do
been
it.
diabetic for 25 years or something.
Oh, sure.
But I just knew I can't risk knowing it. I wouldn't be able to decide anything.
Okay. Oh. So.
It'll
he
just be
can't-
terrible.
Yeah, that's,
and maybe-
yeah, this girlfriend of mine.
Yeah.
And,
Was it expected or unexpected?
but, you know, she's had some health problems in the last
Let
few
me
years.
call him back.
And, of course, I've
How are
been
you?
friends for
Of
40
course.
years, 50 years, you know, and the girls the day after she passed away, the morning after.
So are you going for, are you gonna do a second term?
What?
Are you doing a second term?
What an,
I don't know yet.
oh my goodness.
I haven't decided.
And it means so much to me, you know.
That's so great.
Where are you?
Yeah.
Hi, Bart, it's Andy. Dave just told me that this meeting isn't
made it.
set
You're
up
in the
for a
right
hybrid meeting, so you can just use my name.
Hi there.
They put all the C's together. Well, I guess
Yeah.
except candy.
Hello, hello.
Okay, but I'll make sure you're excused, okay?
Pretty good.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Somebody sent pictures.
Just, he's excused. So I don't know.
Yeah, me either.
How's it going, Kate?
Oh, just lovely. How are you?
Hey, I was shocked that our boys leaving, huh?
I'm leaning this way.
Are you?
Yeah.
I should tell them before, but then you're gonna be
But I
mad
don't
and
know.
say it in person, and I was just like, they're just gonna be mad that you're leaving. Everybody's mad and sad.
Yeah, oh,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Oh, yeah. But you know, it's just like I figured though, sometimes when the case arises, you have to take the opportunities, because you don't know if they're gonna come again, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Why you
Yeah.
there for a year?
I don't know.
Wanna come by? There's somebody there.
Because he likes to hang out with me.
Maybe I'll trade Bart.
Bart's not here. He's not coming.
Why are you clear down there?
Yeah.
I try and do what I'm told in mine.
So,
Do you believe that? If anybody believes that.
sorry, I was just
Now, it's
drinking up all
just
this
like
space.
I said at the end with us.
I think that's what it is.
I think that's what it is.
Oh, my gosh.
Separation anxiety.
You guys, you know what they've always said, the back of the bus is where all the action is.
Separation anxiety.
Oh, yes. Is it time? It's time. It's 7 o'clock and I'd like to, it's 6 o'clock and I'd like to welcome everyone to Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. We'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
roll call, please?
Yes. Chair Tippett,
Here.
Vice Chair Anderson,
Here?
Commissioner Snow,
Here.
Commissioner Smallwood,
Here.
Commissioner Erickson,
Here.
and Commissioner Costello.
Here.
And Commissioner Benson is excused tonight.
Okay, our first item of business is the review and approval of the minutes of June 23rd. Has everyone had a chance to review those?
Yes.
Any comments, corrections? I have one. So,
I bet it's a big one.
well, I just see that in roll call, Commissioner Smallwood was excused, and then I have him adjourning the meeting. And so I'm not sure who actually adjourned the meeting,
I caught that one.
but I don't
Earlier
think it was
today.
him.
Yeah. Yep. I fixed it already.
Okay, awesome. So with that, can we go ahead and take, if there's no other corrections or comments, we can go ahead and take a vote to approve those.
I move we adopt the minutes from June 23rd, 2021.
I second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. That brings us to our first public hearing matter, which is the Allred subdivision at 7417 South, 410 East, preliminary subdivision plat for a two-lot subdivision, single-family, one zone. Richard Allred is the applicant and owner, and Alex Murphy, the planning director, will present on behalf of staff. Yes, we will first hear from Mr. Murphy. He will do his presentation. We will then hear from the applicant and our city attorney, and then we will open it up for public comment at that time.
Let me just make one correction. We'll have the public comment first, and then our city attorney will,
Okay.
will chime in. That change might have happened while you were gone.
It did.
Okay. I feel like I should have a screen that I can see. This is really unusual now. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. As the chair mentioned, this is a preliminary subdivision plat request for a two-lot subdivision on 410 East. It's a private street-served lot that's currently oversized, so Mr. Allred is looking to split it into two lots for future development. His plan right now is just the subdivision, so whoever wants to build on it later would come back to the city for whatever development plans they want to go with. It's a pretty basic subdivision at about half an acre. It's definitely sized right. Here, there's our vicinity map. You can see it on that private street, 410 East. It's surrounded by single-family residential development. We've had a few other subdivisions and duplexes built on this street in recent years, so this is just continuing that trend. The subdivision plat is very straightforward. We've sent it out using our standard review process. There were some comments from the reviewers to address during the final plat, but nothing that really sinks this one or really challenges it. So it generally complies with all the requirements. We've got the minimum lot sizes met. We've got the frontage requirements. Those are really all that matter at this point. We do have a couple things that still need to be addressed. Our typical requirements for utility notices and duty to serve letters haven't been resolved yet. That's normal. Those are usually handled during the final plat process. And there's also a requirement for street trees at a rate of 1 for every 30 feet of frontage along that private road. So we want to make sure that those are taken care of as part of this process as well. There are some existing trees on the lot that may be able to count towards that requirement, so we haven't actually figured out the exact number of trees that need to be installed at this point, but we'll get that taken care of before that final approval, or that approval of the final plat is given. All of those things, or both of those things, can be addressed during that final plat. So we are recommending that the Planning Commission approve the preliminary plat. This is one of those weird edge cases where the ordinance says the Planning Commission makes a recommendation, but this goes straight to council for a final plat approval after this. So it's the Planning Commission recommends that the council approve the final plat at this point with the conditions to address the things I mentioned. So we've got the utility notices and the trees. We'll need to do a final plat that's revised to address the comments the reviewer sent out earlier. But pretty typical. So I've got Mr. Allred here. He's ready to answer any questions you might have, or I can answer anything as well. And there's the motion.
Commissioners, do you have any questions for Alex?
Nope.
Can we go ahead and hear from Mr. Allred?
Thank you. It's nice, it's a privilege to be able to be here. This is a pretty simple thing. I just felt at my age, I have a little more land than I want to take care of. And I've had actually grandfathered in, we had goats there. So the purpose is just to minimize what I'm taking care of. And I've talked to a few people who are interested in purchasing, and they are, the ones that I've talked to would like to do a single dwelling. I think it is zoned for duplexes because there are other duplexes on the street. I'd prefer a single dwelling just because traffic is an issue on that street. So I appreciate your consideration, and we'd like to move forward with it. I don't know if you have any questions.
Any questions?
Nope.
Of course, we'll meet all of the requirements which I was aware would come.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, with that said, I'd like to open the public hearing. This is the time for people to come and make comments with regards to this. If there's anyone in the audience that has any comments, you can come forward now. Please state your name and your address, and let us hear from you.
I move that we close the public hearing.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
I used to like having to do it virtually. It's so weird to not do it virtually. Okay. Okay, with that, the public hearing is closed. Garrett, do you have any comments for this?
So this is administrative action. This just, again, if the applicant meets all the all the requirements found under the statute, you're required to approve it. If there's conditions, then you can approve with conditions. And if it doesn't meet the requirements, you would be okay to deny it.
Okay, with that said, we can entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt the findings and conditions of approval presented in the staff report, recommending the city council approve the final subdivision plat for the Allred subdivision at 7417 South, 410 East with conditions.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Take a vote, please.
Yep. Vice Chair Anderson,
Yes?
Commissioner Costello,
Yes.
Commissioner Snow,
Yes.
Commissioner Smallwood.
Yes.
Okay, that has been approved. We'll go ahead and send a recommendation to the city council. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our second item of business is also a public hearing. It is the Mid-Valley Active Transportation Plan, which will be presented by Alex Murphy.
So I'm actually going to have Thomas McMurtry here from Avenue Consultants present for me. He's been the one working hard on this project with us, and he'll give you an idea what we've been doing, what we hope to do, and everything going on with this active transportation plan.
Great.
Awesome. Looks like I'm sharing my screen.
Thomas, on this one, make sure you're speaking into the mic.
Speaking to the mic so that it gets online, correct?
Yep.
Awesome. Great. Well,
Actually, before you get started, I want to make sure, do I need to disclose anything since I'm technically working?
What do you think, Garrett?
What do you think, Gary?
Zach's working on this project for Murray.
Let's just go with if you want to disclose that right
Okay.
now publicly.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and just disclose that I do know Thomas, and I'm working with him on an active transportation plan for Murray City as well, but it doesn't have any bearing on my role as a planning commissioner. So, okay.
yeah,
Sorry.
I would agree.
Sorry for that.
It was great to have both Zach and Alex working on this plan together. So, Awesome, great. Well, I'm hoping that this can be kind of a fun presentation, and feel free to like interrupt and ask questions as we go. Before I kind of launch, I prepared some slides to kind of talk through it, but I want to just introduce our project website. So if you go to midvalleyatp.com, which is the website here at the link, and I'll launch it right now. It is, it's been newly updated. Doesn't seem to want to go. Anyway, it looks like this. And so we just updated it about a week or so ago. So Zach and Alex, I think you guys may know this. So all the work that we had been doing is now manifest in actual documents. And so, Zach, I haven't told you this, but if you click on Midvale, Holiday, Mill Creek, or even Murray, you can download the draft report for that city and see exactly like the final plan. And I've also included a clickable link to download the appendix, which has a bunch of additional information as well. And then on the homepage or the overview page, if you scroll down, we've got an interactive map that you can like type in your address, you can zoom in and out of, you can like look and click on individual projects and links and turn things on and on, like the legends or different, project labels within the city. So if you haven't been, or any of, your constituents or residents haven't been to the website, I would encourage you to do so. All of the information that you're gonna wanna see is there. And then throughout the actual presentation, all of the content that I'm going to show you is directly from the report. So if you either got the report in your packet, or you can go download it from the PDF from the website, it's available to you and literally everyone, all the content that's in the presentation tonight. So our study was a little bit unique in that it's the Mid-Valley Active Transportation Plan. It incorporated 6 different cities that all came together with the specific purpose of looking at like regional trails and bike lanes and connections. And so it wasn't just focused on Midvale, but included rather all 6 cities. And with that, it looked at more of kind of a macro level. So we looked at a lot of regional routes and multi-city connections, as opposed to like the individual specifics of like, cracked sidewalks or those type of things within any city, right? Which was a lot of fun. It was good for us to like collaborate regionally and kind of get folks together. One of our early pages in the report is an acknowledgement page, and I just want to acknowledge that Midvale had good participation. Your mayor came out and participated quite a bit. He came on our bike tour. He came to our key collaborators meetings. There was a lot of folks that kind of helped lead us to where we ended up. A lot of the content in today's presentation kind of walks you through a lot of kind of what we did in the process and how we got to the final project list, which I'll kind of share at the end. But we started with a vision workshop, and I wonder if I can play this. This is a time-lapse video of that vision workshop. This was pre-pandemic. This was in February of 2020, and we all got together, kind of put together a singular vision and then some goals that would like guide us throughout the study, throughout the content of doing the reports. And so it was a good activity. It was a lot of fun. Again, we had all representatives from all the cities together. And I know that Alex was there. I think Zach, you came to this as well. In fact, yeah, I think I can see you sitting there. Is this you right over here? And so anyway, it was a lot of fun. And what we came up with, the final vision for this project was working together on a connected active transportation system for all ages and abilities. And so that was kind of the overarching vision of what we're trying to accomplish. And then our individual goals were to prioritize safe routes for all users, complete a connected backbone network, collaborate for a public and multi-city commitment, and then improve access to key origins and destinations throughout the community. And so when we came up with projects, we measured how these projects were doing against these vision and goals, and that was a part of the evaluation process kind of as we went. So after we kind of established, what we were all going to do together, we then got, to work on looking at what existed on our roads, and then trying to understand, what were some of the existing conditions out there. This is a map of existing kind of bike lanes and bike facilities in Midvale. You'll notice the Midvale is served really well with on the west side with the Jordan River Trail. And it's not just the trail, but there's all these new connections, right, into some of the new subdivisions and even like over to Overstock and I think over to the Red Line rail station. And so the west side seems pretty well connected from like that trail system, but you'll notice that for the rest of the community, there's really just not that much there. And so, that's a concern and a lot of what we wanted to accomplish. This is the same map for all 6 cities. So you can see how regionally they all kind of come together, including, the Jordan River Trail, but you'll also notice that there's a lot of trails and bike lanes and connections on the east side and Holiday and Cottonwood Heights, and so, but there's also a lot of like disconnected things, and so that was also like a big focus of what we're going to do is where are we now and how do we make the system better. We looked at a bunch of other existing conditions, and if you haven't kind of flipped through the report, I would encourage you to do so. I'm really pleased with like the graphics and the way things turned out. We looked at bus boardings and alightings, how people are getting on and off the bus, because they ultimately are pedestrians as well. And we also looked at pedestrian actuations. So at every single signal in the entire state, when a pedestrian pushes the button for the crosswalk, that data is captured and it's measured, and we can actually look at it. And I can tell you how many button pushes we had at every single signal in Middale and the whole state. And so that was something else we looked at. But one of our focuses was on safety, and I just wanted to kind of just share like this one map with you that, we looked at all of the bicycle and pedestrian crashes, and every time they were hit by a car in Midvale, which was significant. You can kind of see this graph on the right side that shows the different cities and how many walking and biking crashes there were, and Midvale is kind of right there in the middle. There were more in Mill Creek and Taylorsville, but Midvale had quite a few, including 6 fatal pedestrian fatalities in the 5 years that we were looking. And so that's concerning, and we wanted to make sure that we understand, what are some of the safety concerns out there, so that as we look at projects, we can kind of measure it against, the safety to see if we're addressing that goal. I also wanted to mention Strava. Strava data is something new to us that we've been collecting. What it is it's an app on your phone, and every time you kind of turn it on, you can record if you're walking or biking or where you are. It's available to everybody, and all of that data that's ever captured by that app anywhere in the state of Utah is then delivered back to UDOT. UDOT purchased 3 full years of that data, so we can look at where people are walking and biking and how much, and so that's what's on these maps. Bike trips are on the left and walking pedestrian trips are on the right. It only captures people who are using the app, and so it's a little bit of like recreational focus. It's not a true representation of how many people are out there, but it does give you a sense of like where there's more use and where there's less, right? And so like you can see on the map on the right, like how like dark red the Jordan River Trail is, right? Because a lot of people use that trail. But there are also like a bunch of connections through the community, and we actually have data on literally every single street. And so that's kind of fun to look at and to think about as, an existing condition when we're trying to, plan for, better biking and walking routes. I mentioned that the mayor came with us on a bike tour. I think here he is right over here in the black cap. And Alex is over here in kind of the black coat. So one of the early things that we did was we took a bike tour to kind of go look at what bike facilities exist out there and what things we should be planning for. This might play with audio. Probably not too good. It's just Fly the Bumblebee. But because we just sped this up, this is just kind of a time lapse of the bike tour. But you can see we biked on South Temple. This is on 2nd West, whereas a buffered bike lane. This is a curb separated bike lane that's on 300 South. We went through a bunch of different facilities so that all of us, as we are planning, we could get a sense of what tools are in our toolbox for bicycle planning. This is on 500 South. That was just a regular bike lane. Here we are. This is the back of my bicycle, and we are approaching a bike signal. You can see Alex's right leg right there. And so anyway, but this is how a bike signal works, and we get to kind of experience it as we enter Liberty Park. And so it was a good tour for all of us, again, to kind of like see and experience what tools are in our toolbox for active transportation planning. And so with that, like the tour allowed us all to kind of like experience it, and then we could understand what type of infrastructure we could consider. And this page is in the report, and it talks about things like what bike lanes are and neighborhood byways, which are perfectly safe, and they're just like stencils that are striped in the in the travel lanes at low speeds that bicyclists can use, and it talks about like curb separated or protected bike lanes as well as trails, and so just identifying all the kind of the tools that are in our toolbox for planning. So we've come up with the vision goals, we've collected existing conditions, we've been out there on the streets to kind of understand what exists. The next step, and this was right after the pandemic hit, was to brainstorm. And so this is a video of, and I'll show you 3 videos today, but this is a video of our, the key collaborators brainstorm of all of us kind of getting together and meeting and looking at things collectively. And so you can see here we all in a room, drawing on maps and coming up with lines and projects to consider. We did this in like March 10th or so. It was March of 2020. It was literally right before the pandemic kind of shut everything down. At the same time, we all got together in a room and drew like the lines you see on the map that's on the left. We also made this available to the entire public through an interactive map. So we put it online, and people could draw lines and tell us what they wanted to see and where they wanted to see it. They could drop pins and identify things for improvements. And so we got, and that's what's on the map on the right. We have over 220 lines drawn by the public, new ideas generated, as well as about 500 new dots that people put on the map to tell us about things they'd like to see. So we all collectively brainstormed ideas, and you can see we collected from both these two maps as well as all of the past plans that have ever been done. So we looked at the regional RTP, we looked at the county's ATIP plan, we looked at Region 2's active transportation plan. Any active transportation plan that had been done, we all brought it together. We came up with a list of well over 1,000 potential projects in the area from every source we could think of, and then we evaluated them against our goals and see how they performed and were they accomplishing the goals of, connecting communities, providing kind of a systemic backbone. Are they improving safety? Are they connecting us to key destinations? And then we ranked them all on how well they were doing that for our prioritization, as well as if, the same type of projects were on top of each other. I can tell you we had a lot of people that told us about the same corridors and said, hey, we need like bike lanes on Center Street. And we're like, okay, great. And then we wrote that down and we heard it again and we heard it again, and it's the same type of thought. So all in all, I feel like we got a decent amount of interaction, especially considering the fact that we were in a pandemic and it was hard to reach people. These are some of the stats. We had about 5,000 people that visited the website. Over 900 people specifically completed our community surveys and told us about things. We had a 66-person kind of key collaborator group that met at least 3 times, and then you can see that ended up with giving us about 750 locations on the maps that people told us that they wanted to see improvements. I did want to pull one piece out to kind of share with you, and that's this slide. Again, this is in the report. It says, if your ideal walking and biking facilities were available, how often would you use them? This is just survey respondents from Midvale. And you can see that 46% of your residents said that they would use a walking route daily, 38% said weekly, and then on the bike, it's 27 daily and 40 weekly. If you combined those, if you added them up across all Midvale respondents, 39% of all survey respondents said that they would use a walking or biking facility daily, and 38% said weekly. So that's 77% of Midvale residents who completed the survey said that if the facilities were there, that they would use them every single week. That to me is an impressive number, and it just goes to show, boy, how badly our communities need to have, trails and bike lanes and the things that we're planning for. So, anyway, the final result of all of this work over all of these months is this map. This is all 6 cities. We came up with a recommended project list of 240 total projects. You can see them all on this map. They are enumerated. This is, in fact, the list that is in that interactive map on the website. So there you can like zoom in and see your house and see like which projects are kind of generally planned in your area. In Midvale, we also provided a backbone network. This was our highest prioritized routes. These are the ones that were most critical and fulfilled the goals, and specifically, provided those regional kind of connections. And so you'll see there are several kind of like key projects. But if you look at these, they really do kind of like cross the whole Salt Lake Valley. And that is really important. Some of the things that we learned is that we need a route along 39th South to 41st South. We need something, through, connecting north-south along, 9th East and Wasatch, and there are several other kind of like, big connections. In the case of Midvale, we really do need that Center Street connection to get across I-15. And boy, if we could get a connection of the extension of the Porter Rockwell Trail along the blue line of tracks, that would be really great too. And so all of those projects are identified here. Here's the final map just for Midvale City. And again, you can zoom in and take a look at these closely on the project website. And then in the project, the report, we have both a map as well as a project list. With the project list, we tried to provide planning level cost estimates that our designer developed. And so Blair, she designs active transportation routes for, that's what she does it full-time. And so she kind of came up with the cost estimates that we've developed. And we have both a cost estimate for the entire project as well as just the section within Midvale City. So it is our hope that with this list and with some costs identified, that communities like Midvale can take this to the next step to look for grants and try to work with UDOT, apply for active TIF funding or TTIF funding or some different things to kind of get the money that you need. And you can see, total cost over here to get some of the stuff built and move forward. You'll notice we had a column that was like facility type. We also provided some drawings for what those types might look like on the street. So when we talk about things like a neighborhood byway or a marked shared roadway, that we kind of define them and say, oh, well, what that is it stencils in the travel lane. Or if we talk about a buffered bike lane, that we have a drawing of what it might be, or a trail. And so those are included in here. And while these offer different levels of protection from a cyclist in a car, they're all safe. They're all within our toolbox of what we're doing. The ones that have less protection are really only used on like 25-mile-an-hour streets where vehicles are going slowly and bikers are easily visible. And then as you get increased protection, those are like more designed for our arterials. Lastly, there are two other things I wanted to mention. One is just working with Alex was really good. He and I had several conversations about some of our trickiest spots, specifically on like 72 South, coming out of Fort Union and then coming down towards I-15. And we talked a lot about, is there any way we can do anything? UDOT was part of this study throughout. We spent a lot of time talking with Heidi Goodhart and Grant Farnsworth. Heidi is the statewide active transportation coordinator. Grant Farnsworth is the Region 2 planner. It's nothing we could do on 72 South. But the good news is they were like actively improving it, right, and rebuilding the interchange, and they've got sidewalks kind of in there, at least at the interchange now, and so that's an improvement. And so anyway, it was really good working with Alex and your city staff. In an ultimate effort to kind of help move projects from just some list, right, to actually getting built, we included in our budget to do a couple of designs. And in Midvale, we did one on Center Street, and we actually came up with two different designs. And I wanted to share this to you. We are working on a way to get this delivered on the website, but I have it in a KMZ right now. And I didn't do this right. I exited the PowerPoint without actually exiting the PowerPoint. You know what? I wonder if I drag this over here. Oh, here we go. So we have a preliminary design for what we'd like to see on Center Street that runs through from the Jordan River Trail in West Jordan City over to the canal on the east side. So it's this whole thing. Jeez, I am struggling with zooming in a little bit. But I wanted to show you that several of the tricky spots, and specifically like underneath the railroad, we came up with some innovative ways to include bike lanes throughout the whole corridor. And most of it, it's just kind of a traditional striped bike lane because there's a plan to have a planted median, I believe, through that area. Alex shared with us the work that had been done. But here, as we transition towards maybe if I go like this and like this, you can see a little better. Right in here, as we get close to the UTA bridge and go underneath I-15, we want that bike lane to kind of transition up behind the new curb and extend the curb in, and then ultimately right underneath the UTA bridge where it's really, really tight and they've got those piers that are kind of right there, we show the bike lane transitioning up onto the sidewalk for about 50 feet and then eventually transitioning down. And then as we get closer to the UTA station and the post office, that here there's an opportunity to have a curb-separated bike lane throughout. And by moving the curb in, you can really protect it. And that might be really key, especially with serving the track station. And then I'll just mention, as we get to State Street, we spent a lot of time looking at this. We talked to UDOT. Peter Tang had a lot of thoughts about how we can navigate through. There's the light rail station. You can see that we want kind of a little bit more separation of the bike lane on the north side of the street. And then right here is the intersection, and here the bike lane has to transition back up to the sidewalk. Because of the dual rights and the dual lefts, there's no way to comfortably have a bike lane in there or something that's safe for cyclists to like stop at State Street and continue on straight or turn right or turn left. There's no way to get a two-stage left turn box. It just isn't going to work. And so in this particular case, we have the bike lane transitioning up to the sidewalk. but we are hoping that maybe we could identify a little bit enhanced crosswalks, maybe with some pink, green boxes, just to let cyclists know that, you know, we expect them here to use the crosswalks like pedestrians. And so anyway, as part of this plan, we included a bit of a design for Center Street. That is it. I did have a final slide that just said, thank you for your time. Alex and I had a lot of fun working on this. It was tough kind of with the pandemic, but we thought we did as good a job as we possibly could to reach out to folks and to listen to them and to accommodate, you know, the comments that they had. We tried to, you know, encourage, you know, some enhanced projects that might be either a little bit more costly than maybe some traditional things, like protected bike lanes and trails. So we've got a trail along a UTA tracks line, and that can be tricky, especially with the bridge over Straight Street, but we think it's the right thing to do to plan for it. The first stage in getting it built is to get it on a plan. And so, you know, ultimately, I think we feel really, really good about, you know, the plan we put together. Any questions?
Seeing no questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. I was so impressed with the way this was put together and going through it. And it was informative, but, you know, it seemed to touch a lot of different areas, you know, pedestrian and bike and safety. And I was really impressed.
Colleen, one thing that I personally believe is I don't like doing plans that are going to just sit on a shelf and be forgotten about. And so one way that you can make the plan more usable is to make it more reader-friendly. And so we added like tons of cute little graphics, almost like you would design a children's book, if you will, right? There's got lots of like fun stuff that people like looking at, and they'll turn the pages. But then also we really wanted to, you know, get to kind of the heart of the matter with the project list and the cost. And so, you know, that's a big section. We included a funding section at the very back end to just encourage communities to like seek out funds to kind of get these things built so they can kind of, you know, make our community better. So, thanks.
So thank you. Thanks, Alex.
I will say Alex did his part. He mentioned this in one of our meetings months ago, and I completely forgot. He told me to go there to put my my complaints on the map.
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Yeah, we tried to put out a lot of opportunities for people to comment on this one. It was, as Thomas mentioned, the pandemic made things challenging, but we did try to reach out. We incorporated a lot of assistance from all 6 cities and their information officers and their social media outlets and such. So we did. It was, I think, as Thomas said, the best effort that we could have made and the best response that we could have received. A couple things I wanted to add. First of all, thanks to Thomas and his team for putting this together. It's been like, what, 18, 24 months since we started working on this?
Yeah, it was maybe December of 19
or January. It's been almost 2 years that we've been working on this. It's a big task to coordinate 6 cities and like, what, 3 or 4 consulting teams that we had involved on it.
There's a lot of folks.
And so it's a monumental effort that I hope we'll see implemented in the coming years. We have already started internally working on trying to determine which projects of these we can take on a short-term basis to see improvements on. So like, for instance, we've put in a grant request to start doing some of that bike lane work on Center Street that Thomas showed on that plan. We've got another project happening a little later this summer where we're going to have a few of these routes taken to the next step in the design phase and then presented to the planning or the city council so that they can start pushing as well to see some of these implemented, which is really exciting. The reason I brought this in front of the Planning Commission tonight is I wanted to have you involved in this process. I wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of see what we've been working on and to hear what we've been doing. And then I wanted you to make a recommendation to the council. So if you like this project and you think it's a good thing for the city to pursue, I'd like to see you recommend the council adopt it as a formal policy document for them to guide decisions on when it comes to active transportation in Midvale. If you don't like it, which I really hope isn't the case, but can happen, tell us what you think would be better, and then we can take that and see if there's an opportunity for us to make some tweaks before it continues moving on. It's going to go through this kind of process with each of the 6 cities, so we're going to have everybody's council on board with this. We're going to cover a huge percentage of the population of the valley by this, and a very large portion of the active transportation routes in the county. There's been similar multi-jurisdictional plans already done in some other communities, like West Jordan and South Jordan just finished one up. Sandy and Draper just finished one up, right?
Yeah, they did a joint one too. Yeah.
Salt Lake City obviously has a lot of work going on up there, so.
And they collaborate a lot with Mill Creek, and actually they're doing a lot of work in Sugar House and kept calling me to make sure that what we're doing in Mill Creek matches up with what they're doing in Sugar House. And so, which it does. There's bike lanes on Highland Drive and 13th East, and so, yeah.
Yeah, and I've had West Jordan calling me and wanting to make sure that we can collaborate to ensure that we get good connections across the river to the west. So it's a really exciting time to be in active transportation. So I hope to see some improvements.
By the way, if I can mention one subtle little thing about the collaboration that we're looking at, the logo that you see up there, it says Mid-Valley Active Transportation Network. And we've got little, like a bike guy and somebody on a scooter. If you look at the letters that are connected, A-R-E is connected, it says R, and then O-N-E is connected, and so the connected letters say R1. It's just a subtle way of just showing that, you know, we're collectively working together. We, you know, all these cities kind of are one. Anyway, isn't that, it's real subtle. You really got to like notice that, you know, this A-R-E is connected and this O-N-E are connected.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, any comments, questions? Okay, we'll go ahead and open this up for public hearing.
We didn't send out any notices on this one, so it's really just ended up on the agenda. There isn't really a way, like, there's not really a policy in place for us to notice this type of work. So I'm not surprised that we have nobody here.
Seeing none, I close the motion. Yeah. I move that we close the public hearing.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded.
All in favor?
All in favor? I don't know
Aye.
if I have to do
Aye.
this
Aye.
or not.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we can open this up for a motion. Anyone prepared to do that?
Sure, I'll make a motion. Okay, I move that we forward a recommendation to adopt the Mid-Valley Active Transportation Plan to the City Council as presented.
I second it.
We have a vote, please.
Yes, Commissioner Costello,
Yes?
Commissioner Snow,
Yes.
Commissioner Smallwood,
Yes.
Vice Chair Anderson.
Yes.
I'm excited about this, so I'm glad it's moving forward.
Yeah, we're glad too. So we'll the next step is we'll take this to the council. We'll do the same kind of presentation. We'll have Thomas do it. And then hopefully they'll adopt it and we'll start seeing some work happening.
Yeah. Quick question, I should ask this earlier. Have you sent this to like the high school track coaches?
I have not, I do not know any high school track coaches, but I would welcome them to go visit our website and to download the
Yeah.
plan or to
I'd like
see
to
it.
see what they have to say about it.
Yeah, I'd love, you know, if they're joggers, I will tell you that we talked to as many people as we could, you know, during the pandemic. By the way, I for one just live right on the other side of the river in West Jordan, just by the Conservancy Garden down there. And I used to spend 8 years working in downtown Midvale here at the intersection of Center and Main at what was Interplan before it became the
Parametrics?
Yeah, it was, yeah, but it was, anyway, it's an Alchemist something now.
Now it's farmer and chemist.
There you go, yeah. But I worked in that building for 8 years, and I would bike to work every Wednesday and Thursday. Even in the winter, I would bike to work. And I was just like, I'm thrilled to see or think about that we're finally going to get, you know, bike lanes on Center Street, because I used to bike in all the time. I would love to send it to track coaches, I don't know, school bus drivers, anybody at all who wants to like see the plan or take a look. I would encourage them to go see it.
We did have one of the school board members on our steering committee, right? Mont Millerberg was involved.
My daughter runs cross country and they run on the road quite a bit. So
Yeah,
I'm
it'd be
curious
good.
to see what he has to say. I'll send it to him.
Yeah.
And give me your contact info.
Yeah, sounds good.
Thanks, Thomas. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Our next item is our staff update and upcoming meetings and projects. Before we get to that, though, I want to thank Alex for everything he's done. We're gonna miss him.
Yeah.
We are?
Thanks, guys.
Yes. Yeah.
Nobody responded to my email, so I was like, I hope you saw that, because I would hate to get into this meeting and say right now, this is my last meeting with you and have this be a shock. Thanks, Robin.
welcome.
So I didn't explain everything in the email, but I have accepted the position of city planner for the city of Astoria in Oregon. So I'll be moving up there in August.
Never been.
It's a great city.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
I looked at it on Google Maps. You gotta go there.
Yeah.
Have you watched movies?
It
No, I
is.
haven't watched.
Goonies and Kindergarten Cop and I'm not sure what other ones, but it's a really exciting opportunity. I'm going to be doing largely the same kind of work. City planner up there. Their office is a little smaller than ours. They just have 2 planners in their community development department, but they've got a lot of things going on. I have a feeling that one of my first projects is going to be active transportation work, which I'm really excited about. It's really exciting. I am sad to be leaving. I didn't anticipate that I would be leaving Midvale this soon. I had expected that I would have at least several more years before I was heading out, but I got this opportunity and I didn't feel like I could turn it down. But thank you, everybody, for serving on the Planning Commission. I've really enjoyed working with you all. I feel really bad for Jason, who's going to be picking up the load for 3 people now once I am gone.
By yourself. It's fine.
My last day here will be the 26th, so that's a week from Monday. And because of the 24th of July and some other time that I had scheduled off already, I only have 4 days in the office left. So if there's anything that I can do for you before I leave, please let me know. I will do my best, but I have, you should see the stack of things on my desk that I'm trying to clear out before I take off. It is overwhelming.
Are they having a going away party for you?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not yet?
No, I'm not that important.
Oh, yes, you are.
Yeah, I don't think so. Nobody's told me anything,
Oh,
so.
okay.
As far as other updates are concerned, we're not having a second meeting this month, so the 28th is clear. I'll post a cancellation for that tomorrow or early next week. There will be a meeting on August 11th that Jason and Kate will be heading, so keep an eye out for that agenda and packet to come out.
Now, is that during harvest days?
It's the week after.
The week after? Oh, okay. I wasn't sure when.
Yeah, the council actually moved their meetings that month also, so you'll have council on the 10th, planning commission on the 11th, and then council on the 24th, and maybe planning commission on the 25th.
Oh, okay.
Let's see, we do have a lot of things coming. Most of them are not hitting the planning commission right now. We've got, the next meeting is mostly subdivisions and basic applications, but.
I did receive a thing from, in my neighborhood, one of the neighbors on 7500 South has got chickens.
Jason sent that one out, yep.
I gotta talk to you after.
Yeah.
I'm glad that that's coming up, because that, for the, well, I won't get into that now. But anyway, I did get a notice. Now, in a case like that, because it's right in my neighborhood, would I recuse myself, or would I be a part of that?
Well, chickens are administrative conditional use permits, so they don't come to the planning commission.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
You just get
You just get the notice. If you
Well, I
have-
got the notice, but they said something about there was a meeting on the 28th.
It should have said a deadline to submit comments on the 28th.
Oh, okay, okay, maybe.
Yeah, so for administrative conditional use permits like chickens, bees, various other project types, we just send a notice out that says we're taking comments for a period of time,
Okay.
so that people can give us feedback if they have concerns. But
Okay.
If you're close to that neighborhood but didn't get a notice, can you still make a comment?
sure, do it after the meeting though.
Oh, I will.
Okay.
At the meeting last night about water, it came up,
It came up at the meeting?
The chickens.
no, not chicken, sorry.
No.
Totally separate
That
thing, sorry.
that was a good meeting. That was a good meeting.
Yeah, about dryscape
Yeah,
and more
Xeriscapes.
Xeriscapes, and if we have something coming up to revamp
So we
our codes.
don't have anything scheduled right now. So we have adopted right now an earlier version of Jordan Valley Water's model landscape ordinance, which includes most of the recommendations that they have for allowing xeriscape style land designs. We don't have the latest version. They've made some changes since, and we also don't apply it to single family residential areas. It's mostly commercial and multifamily residential that it applies to. There has been talk about possibly revisiting it, especially as part of the Main Street area. We have an agreement with Jordan Valley Water that says we will not, we won't use their money in the RDA budget if we don't adopt
new standards. So we do need to consider about what we do with that.
How do we feel on single family on front yard?
I don't know, do you know anybody on 10th that has a beautiful
Yeah,
yard?
but I
201?
remember we had something presented to us where they had made it all mulch or all gravel, and that was against code.
Yeah, so the standards right now say it has to be landscaped, but it doesn't say what it has to be landscaped with. So you can do no grass, you can do all grass, and those are both okay. What you can't do is nothing. So you have to have plants. So if you meet like Jordan Valley Water's expectations, then you're okay. Usually I tell folks aim for like 50% to 65% coverage at maturity by plants and not include the trees in that calculation. So you do have a lot of plants on the ground in your planters or on your turf, obviously. But that's not a hard and fast rule. That's just a recommendation. So usually when folks come in and just have gravel or just have mulch or dirt or nothing, we'll have them fix it. But
And then there's a free class coming up.
yes, there is. If you're interested, there's a class here, I believe it's here at City Hall, that Laura Magnus has been coordinating. There's more information on our website if you want to check it out. I've actually done the classes that they're doing here before, and they're great. I did them at Jordan Valley Water. And if you go through those classes, they'll sometimes give you money to revamp your landscape at your house. So that can be helpful.
Yeah, I just did my front
Tenth on
yard.
there.
Oh, it's all xeriscape, yeah.
Yeah,
I
no
just did,
kidding.
not zero.
It's not zero,
Yeah.
but it has plants.
Xera is the prefix.
It's more native habitat.
Yeah, that's still xeriscape.
It's right on 7th East.
Okay, any other questions or things I can help you out with on this, my last meeting with the planning commission?
Happy trail.
Thanks.
It'll be fun.
Okay, then I will move that we adjourn at 6:46.
This meeting is adjourned, thank you.
Jason,
Southbridge.
Got a chicken problem?
To me.
Do you have a chicken?
Well,